Welcome back to IGN Live at E3. We'll have the Microsoft press conference in just a bit. But first, it's time for some hardcore survival action. Fortnite is the game, and here with exclusive new gameplay is Darren and Zach from the Fortnite team. Hello.
Hey, how's it going? Thanks for having us on.
And James Duggan, of course.
Hey, what's up?
Here from IGN.
I'm here too.
James.
Fortnite is real. It's happening. You have a release date. It's next month.
That's right.
You can't hide from it anymore. It's been years, right?
Well, it's been a while, so we're excited. We're really happy that finally we're going to be able to go out wide. It's going to be on PC, Mac, PlayStation 4, and Xbox One. It's pretty awesome. The most amount of people that want to play, they can finally all come in and play.
So we've seen a lot of different iterations of it over the years, and I've had a chance to play in the closed beta a bit.
Yep.
But the first thing I want to talk about is heroes, which are the characters you play as, the playable characters, and they're not specific heroes in the sense of Overwatch, but they do have different abilities. So can you talk us through the structure there? Are there classes of these heroes? How does that work?
Yeah, we basically use a hero card system, and all those cards are derived from 4 classes. We have the soldier class, which is your run and gun. Like I've got grenades. I can whip out a giant chain gun in a pinch. Then we have our Outlander, which is our scavenging hero. He's really awesome at harvesting and gathering loot. So all those people are there looking for loot. He can see loot through walls, and really that's what he's about. So if you want stuff, that guy's going to help you get it. Then we have the constructor. That's our class. Everybody in Fortnite can build, but he's able to sort of enhance the building of all structures in the game. It means he can structures that take damage, he can reflect that back, he can auto-heal walls, like that's his big thing. And then of course we have the ninja, which is a mobility class, so you can double jump into combat, smoke bomb in, and then dragon slash out, so he's the melee class of the game.
I love that your game makes me decide between if I want to be a construction worker or a ninja.
It takes all kinds, that's what Fortnite's about, actually.
I feel like every kid should have that option. One of the things I'm really looking forward to in this game is just the sheer amount of construction and creation that it comes in terms of the weaponry. Like it seems infinite. I know that's a weird word to just throw around, but what's sort of the craziest weapon that you guys have seen get kicked around the office?
Oh, man, I don't know about kicked around the office because we've had some crazy weapons, but let's see, what's in the game right now?
Well, I was gonna mention in the office, we literally have a stop sign axe, which is straight out of the game that we threatened each other with. So
we did make that.
But stop sign axe comes to my mind.
Does that mean like stop axing?
Well, like,
Yes, it is.
Yeah, like literally like everything from scavenged materials in the world and sort of weapons of that nature to, I don't know, the deer horn sword.
Yeah,
like,
that's pretty cool. We've got ricocheting laser rifles. That was pretty awesome. So you can bounce them down hallways.
That sounds awesome.
Yeah, there's some cool stuff in there. Like we obviously the upside of having worked on the game for this long. There's a ton of stuff in there, and players are going to be discovering it for hours.
And so the basic loop of that is like you'll find loot out in the wild, and then do you have to bring it back to a like central location? Can you just do it on the fly and just start building weapons?
So you can build weapons anywhere you find them. You'll get schematics, which is sort of your know-how of like the type of things that you can build, and then you'll find items in the world that let you craft it together. At its heart, Fortnite is a creation game, so crafting is just part of that. And then building forts is all really dependent on the mission type. So the building is the tool, like everything else. Your classes are a tool, your weapons are tools. We just give all these tools to the players, and then we let them solve the mission problems however they want in a cooperative way.
Tell me about what's going on screen right this moment.
Well, right now, our heroes are headed towards their objective, which is Ray's told them that there's a shelter that needs to be repaired, and so they're coming up on it right now. So our constructor is taking a look, and she's going to go in and she's going to start the repair cycle, which is then going to essentially start the encounter. And so they're going to get a timer now to be able to defend the shelter. And be able to basically go out into the world, and they're scavenging parts, and the storm's going to start reacting to them coming up in about 5 minutes. But they have 5 minutes to be able to go out, find a bunch of parts, build a defense, and get ready to push back.
The shelter itself exists because it's a game in the end. This giant storm has swept into the world, and many of the people in the world have disappeared, but there are survivors out there, and this shelter is literally a shelter from the storm, and the players need to set it up.
So talking about mission structure,
Yeah.
what we see here is similar to what I've played. And I think coming into this game, I guess my initial impression, it was going to be very, very open-ended in terms of the mission structure. But at least from what I've played, from the first few missions, there's definitely a linear nature to it. Do you think that opens up towards the end of the game, and you start getting, once the players have really figured out the dynamics of the core gameplay, you can kind of let them go crazy and build this super fort? How does that work?
Yeah, so one of the things is that we have a mission structure, so players in a cooperative game, they kind of all know what to do together. One of the weird parts is if you have true possibility space and it's cooperative, everyone doesn't know what to do and they sort of run off. And that was sort of the early days. So we created the mission structure so then people can have a cooperative experience. But one of the cool parts we added not too long ago is that everybody has a space called their sort of home base. And they bring resources back, and it's at that space you can build an infinitely, well, within reason of our performance size fort, and then that's really where that you can express your creativity and make giant fortresses. So it's a hybrid between it. Just depends on what you're in for that. If you want to roll out and do a 20-minute mission with your buddies, you can do that. You just want to noodle around and build up your outpost, you can do that too.
Do you find like a lot of players are just immediately start to build the tallest fort they can make to see if they can touch the sky?
It depends. So we have something called Stairway to Heaven, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which is how long does it take a player to decide how tall can they build? It varies. Like we've done a lot of tests, we've watched a lot of things. Some players do that within their first maybe 4 or 5 missions. Some players never do it, and it's really interesting to watch. It's building with a purpose. As soon as you give a player a reason to build, they build very thoughtfully towards that. And as you can see here, right now we're working on putting a defense around the C-bot. So the C-bot's going to help these guys find sort of the hidden construction bots that are then going to go back and help repair our fort. And then the constructor here is setting up the defense.
And are you able to sort of unlock different textures and stuff here? Because here we've got this sort of like Spanish tile going down on the floor, and then there was cinder blocks back there, and then we've got this weird, Art Nouveau museum on the side of here. It's great.
Yeah, there's 3 materials in the game to build with, and each one of those materials then has 3 upgrade levels. So what we're putting up here is metal. There's also stone and wood, and then as they upgrade, they get different material classes. So you can see some of the wood arches here that they've put up to help protect against lobbers that are going to be able to dropping stuff from the sky. As far as anything beyond that, I'll tell you what I tell our players, which is put it into our feedback. There's a nice feedback menu. You click it, you type in whatever you want in there for whatever we're going to do next.
So this seems like a perfect time to talk about the enemies as they're coming down with this storm.
Yep.
We see some larger guys here, there's some smaller guys, and you guys kind of have fun with it. There's a tongue-in-cheek nature to the enemy types, like there's a guy who throws a baseball at you, who's presumably a pitcher for a professional baseball team and is now a zombie who's wearing his face as a hoodie. But talk me through the enemy types. Do we start seeing much larger enemies later in the game?
We do. So in this case, we haven't spawned any of our truly big monsters. These are from sort of the Husk variants, and Husks represent sort of the basic creature type. They come in hordes. You have to deal with them in mass. Then we have the Huskies, which are bigger. They're more bullet sponges. They're there to be at the forefront. Then we've got Dwarf Husks. They're fast little Husks that come in at you in packs. Then we have propane tank Husks. They carry propane tanks.
Assume they sound like Hank Hill.
And they will lob those propane tanks into your base, so you want to destroy them before that. Then, of course, we have our artillery units, these bombs, the lobbers. They fling skulls into the fortresses, and then we graduate up into big creatures like the Smasher. Does what he says. He's a big siege tank. He will take down your fort if you let him run too wild. Then we have flangers that are literally throw enemies up onto the top of your roof, and then they try to burrow down into the top. So there's the game sort of starts out at a slow tempo, but then it ramps up quickly, and you get more and more of these creature types as you go.
That sounds awesome. We're going to take a quick break, but we'll have more of our exclusive look at Fortnite right after this. Welcome back to IGN Live at E3. Our coverage of the Microsoft press conference starts soon, but first, we're continuing our exclusive look at Fortnite with Darren and Zach. Welcome back. We were just going through that demo. We're going to start it up again, and I just want to know everything about this game, as much as I can get out of you while you're here. So we went through the character class types. We talked about the just insane amount of weapons. We talked a little bit about the enemy types. Let's keep going from there. We saw some of the smaller ones. I want to know, do these guys get like a text when you start building something, and they just hate you, and they just like what's their problem with you?
Yeah, the initial part of the game sort of begins to explore like what causes the storm, but it really is like trying to figure out what happened to the people, and then ultimately like they think it might be sentient, and so therefore it reacts to what the players do. So when the players are trying to build something or turn on one of their piece of technology, the storm shows up and attempts to stop them.
So this character's using these abilities in addition to the weapons they have,
Yep.
and that's all relying on a system called energy,
Yep.
which if you don't use it, you lose it. So talk me through the abilities, especially combat.
Yeah, absolutely. So as we were saying before with their classes, like all the characters have 3 additional abilities, and then generally they have some passive that work together. And so those enable the characters to just do things in a pinch. Like we're watching the Outlander right now. He has everything from his rocket punch to effectively a micro teleport where he gets to leap away, which you just watched him do that. So it really take advantage of the class abilities is the proficiency. And in this case, we're seeing, I'm going to pivot a little bit and say you're seeing some of the gadgets that are available to the players as well.
That was awesome.
They just dropped an airstrike to clear out some of those creatures, and prior to that, the Outlander was healing himself with his adrenaline rush. And so you basically get to mix and match your gadgets with the class abilities. In this case, the Constructor, I don't know if she's going to deploy one of her gadgets, but she has something called the base, and when she drops the base, and it's a little bit to the right of that footage, it enhances all the worlds around it, so allows the player to say like, nope, the storm is now coming in for the west. I'm going to drop this base, and I'm going to enhance all the walls along that. So allows players of the builders to really alter their strategy depending on the storm front.
I really love the art direction in this game. It's
Me too.
Almost it's almost slapstick at times, especially with these sort of like 1950s cartoon bubbles popping up everywhere. How did you guys sort of land on the art style?
Well, iteration was a big process of the way Fortnite came together, and like the art team is super creative, and I know everybody says that, but man, I have not worked with a bunch of more creative folks. So they got to this point actually early on in the project where the game looked a little bit more like what you would expect the next, game from Epic Games. It was grimmer, darker. It was the next evolution of that. But a bunch of the artists got together.
About that.
Yeah, a bunch of the artists got together and said, you know what? We think we want to push this into a completely different direction, go complete stylization, and that was the basic seed of Fortnite's idea. And over the years, they've just refined that and gotten it even cooler. Like over the years, we made the heroes more heroic. Like as soon as we added classes into the game, the characters got to be bigger and cooler. But they effectively still exist within this stylized sort of heroic world.
Purple, they love purple.
The lighting in this game is awesome.
Yeah.
So there's this whole out-of-game system that we're not seeing that's kind of a periphery.
Yep.
It's an overworld. It's looking at your hero deck, civilians, defenders, things like skill trees. Can you talk us through that?
Yeah, so at its heart, as building and exploring are the key elements of that section of the game. There was the collection nature of it, and we were like, well, how can we sort of push collection in terms of just finding widgets to craft, but also into the gameplay as a whole? And so at the top of it, we sort of went to this card system that enables you to have schematics to build or even heroes to advance. And so you collect these heroes and then you advance them, and they can all be leveled up and effectively evolved into more powerful forms of themselves. And over time, they grow in power and they can be collected like rarity, just like items.
So you can take an uncommon hero who you really like and really like their skill set and level them up to the power level of something like a legendary hero?
Well, basically you can transform other your cards into additional cards over time. So basically, you take that power and you either recycle it and gain XP and rewards from it, or you put it in the transformation and you create an amalgam into a new form. So it all depends. Actually, there's lots of depth. It's basically it's a giant ingredients list basically.
Can you play a sort of passive creative mode where no one is hurting you or attacking you? Is there any way to just be like, I want to build a bridge today?
Well, there's certain mission types that basically enable players to sort of wander the world a bit more and sort of explore. But true creative mode, we don't have in this version of the game, at least from what I consider that as a definition. But it is actually one of our #1 requested features, and like all things, it's on the list, and we'll probably explore it one day.
Yeah,
go ahead.
Well, I was going to say the players right now, they tend to use their outposts as that space.
Yeah.
Because they can go in there and they can build anything. There's no time restriction.
Yeah.
So we've seen everything from pirate ships
right.
to extremely large castles with just all sorts of variety.
That's got to be such a sort of fulfilling thing to enable the audience with these tools and then just kind of sit back and like proud parents and be like, look what you built.
It very much is.
Yeah, that's actually my favorite part of the game, and actually going through on July 25th when we're gonna take the sticker off and people can stream. People will finally see some of these amazing things because we've been able to watch it. Like we'll clone whole accounts and then look at what people have built in their outposts in these giant fortresses. But finally, the players can do that themselves and stream it and show off all the cool stuff that they've been making. So
do you hope that people will maybe be like, hey, this is how I built this thing. This is how you can build it.
Yeah.
Is that going to be easy for people to kind of communicate with each other?
Yeah, I mean that is absolutely the hope. I think there's a high level of virality around the cool stuff in Fortnite, and people will be able to show that off. It's like, let me show you the death machine that I built, and as it's grinding up creatures, and I think then they can show off the strategies that have. And I think that's going to be one of the most fun parts of the game.
So you guys have announced pre-orders and founders packs.
Yep.
But talk to me about the overall monetization. Will this game at its heart be free to play, or do you need to purchase? Because I know there's this kind of aesthetic monetization system in similar to like an Overwatch loot box scenario.
Yeah, our ultimate goal, like straight up, and I want to make sure that everybody knows, is like we made a free-to-play game, and sometime in 2018 it's going to go free, without a doubt. But we wanted to offer the ability to get in on the Founders year this year, and we're going to do lots of cool stuff for people who want to get in. I mean, I am constantly hit up for people to like, hey, I want to get into your game. How do I get in? All the time. And finally, we're just like, you know what? We'll just let people in, and then when we're ready to change over into true free to play, we will. But this year allows people to sort of get in, and if they want to hang out until 2018 when we open the doors for everybody, that's actually cool too.
And I assume that enables some cool post-launch content. Because this strikes me as a game that is very much a service. And you're playing with your friends, playing the new expansion, whatever that may be. Do you have any idea what that will look like? I mean, you haven't even launched the game, but I always ask this question.
Can you guys outline your next 20-year plan?
We could talk about maybe the next 3 months. What we're really excited about is right at launch, bringing some events online that allows players to actually interact with the world in new ways that even the players that are currently in our online tests haven't seen yet. And so those are some things we're going to enable. So specifically, the storms are going to become more alive. They're going to start doing some more interesting things, and the players are going to have to start interacting with those. There's going to be some unique rewards that come up because of that. Along with that, along with that feature, we also have something that is going to start allowing players to visit each other's outposts while they're offline, and to be able to potentially defend those outposts against the storms with their friends. And so then they can come back, they can see what other people have done, they can actually defend it, they can actually play it, and then they can raid it. And then you'll be able to come back in, and your outpost will be defended, and you'll be able to see some of the cool things that happened while they're defending, and then be able to get some rewards on the other side of that.
Very cool.
Yeah, that's important. Like, we wanted to give more places for players to show off their creation. So the next 6 months after launch, we're going to focus on stuff like that.
So your fort will kind of persist a little bit, because I know at the end of the match you build a new one going into the next zone.
But absolutely, in the Storm Shield area, that's always persistent, even at the launch. Like, that never goes away. That's always your place where you can build and make bigger all the time. That happens right at the very beginning of the game.
And you get multiple of those as you kind of move through. So your initial initial solutions that you use for building, they'll change over time as more monsters are introduced, and then you'll have to be able to react to those. And so you'll learn as you go along.
I really love a lot of the traps that we've been seeing in the demo in the last minute or so. We've got the floors with the spikes that jut out of them. There's like tripwires and mines. Do you find plans for these in the wild? Like how many? Like, okay, I'll put it this way.
Yeah.
Just describe a completely insane fortress to me. Just give me a variety of the stuff that you can put around the outside the perimeter to keep it safe if you're paranoid.
Well, yeah, you have everything from what you'd expect, some spike traps and spikes on walls so the players take damage. But then it starts getting like insane where like there's player jump traps where they can literally fling themselves across the board from tower to tower. So you'll see like when you get these giant fortresses in our storm shield areas, they will basically build traversal from tower to tower by flinging them off that. And then also that's true of the enemies. Like there are push traps that players can use to just throw enemies off of the buildings. And same thing is true with pop traps where like creatures will get flung into the air and then hit another trap in the air and pushed out. We're tinkering with the timing right now, but what in an ideal scenario, we'd be able to construct the better mousetrap where you could hit multiple trap types all in a row and then like destroy creatures without actually having to fire a shot.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that's our long-term 10. We're still tuning and adding more traps to the system, but yeah, that's where we want to go.
All right, so when is Fortnite out?
We are out on July 25th. We are out PC, Mac, PlayStation 4, and Xbox One. If you get us in early, if you buy early, you'll get access on July 21st. That's right.
Yep,
right,
July 21st. Pre-order and get in on July 21st. Get a head start before anybody else.
Build that stairway to heaven before anybody else.
That's right. That's right.
Thank you guys so much for coming by.